Evan Mercer noticed it first in a place nobody respects, a smudged bathroom mirror above a cheap sink. He leaned in to check a nick on his jaw from shaving. His reflection leaned in too, then blinked a fraction of a second late, like it had to remember how. He laughed under his breath. Lack of sleep, too much screen time, the kind of excuse that keeps a person alive for exactly one more mistake. Down the hall, his girlfriend, Mara Quinn, called his name from the living room. "Evan, did you leave the TV on again?" Evan wiped the mirror with his palm. The glass squealed. For a heartbeat, the smear cleared into a clean patch, and in that patch, his reflection smiled. Evan wasn't smiling. He jerked back. The smile vanished, replaced by his own startled face. He stared until his eyes watered. The mirror behaved. Of course it did. Mirrors never confess twice. He rinsed his hands and walked out, trying to carry the moment like a joke. Their small rental house creaked in the wind. February rain ticked against the windows, turning every pane into a dark, wavering duplicate of the room. Mara sat on the couch scrolling her phone, hoodie up, hair damp from a shower. "You look like you saw a ghost. Just tired." Evan dropped beside her. The TV screen was off, black enough to show a faint reflection of the room. Evan caught himself looking at it, checking. Nothing but a warped version of his own shoulders and Mara's hood. He forced his eyes away. Mara nudged him. "You're doing it again." "Doing what?" "That thing, checking behind us like a paranoid raccoon." She smirked, but it didn't reach her eyes. Evan's phone buzzed. A voicemail from an unknown number. He almost ignored it. Then the notification preview showed a transcript. "If you're listening, don't look again." A chill crawled up his spine. He opened it anyway. Curiosity is a leash. Humans tug it until it snaps. The voicemail was only breathing at first, slow, wet, like someone pressing their mouth to glass. Then his own voice, strained and close. "Evan, stop checking. You're feeding it." His stomach tightened. "That's not me," he whispered. Mara leaned in. "Play it again." Evan shook his head. "No, Evan." He hated the way her tone made it sound like a test of love. He hit replay. The second time, between the breaths, there was a sound like claws sliding across a window. And behind his own warning voice, something else moved. Soft padding, weight shifting. A dog's nails on tile. Mara's face drained of color. "We don't have a dog." Evan turned his head, and his eyes, without permission, flicked to the dark TV screen. In the TV's reflection, a shape stood behind the couch. It was tall for a dog, too tall. Its ribs made a cage under tight skin, and its legs were wrong, stilted, too straight, like a deer learning to be a hound. Where its head should have been wolfish, it wore something stretched smooth and pale. A human face pulled over bone until the mouth became a long, neat split. It didn't move in the room. It moved only in the reflection. And when Evan blinked, it was closer. Evan snapped his gaze away so hard it hurt. His pulse hammered in his ears. He forced himself to stare at Mara's hoodie, at her hands, at anything that wasn't glass. "Don't look," he said. "Mara, don't look at anything reflective." "What are you talking about?" He didn't answer. If he described it, it would become real in her head, and in his gut, he already knew that mattered. He grabbed a throw blanket and threw it over the TV. The fabric hung like a shroud. The house exhaled. Rain tapped on the windows, patient as fingernails. Mara swallowed. "Evan, did you see something?" Evan nodded once. "If you see it too, it gets stronger." "That's insane." "Then don't prove me right." She stood, restless. Her eyes kept darting toward the windows, the black rectangles hiding their own reflections. Evan caught her wrist. "Mara, listen. Tonight we cover every reflective surface. Mirrors, windows, screens, everything." She stared at him like he'd grown horns. Then quietly, "Why does that voicemail sound like you?" Evan's throat felt tight. "Because I already made the second mistake." He didn't tell her the first was looking. The second was looking again. And somewhere in the dark behind the blanket-covered TV, something shifted as if it had just been given permission to learn Evan's shape. They didn't fight it like a creature. They fought it like a habit. Mara taped sheets over the windows. Evan ruined the bathroom mirror with matte duct tape until his face broke into dull blocks. Every few minutes the urge came back, the compulsive need to confirm, to check, to make the fear real. Evan swallowed it and kept working. A soft scrape drifted from the hallway. Nails on glass, slow and deliberate. "The mirror," Mara whispered. Evan took a kitchen knife he didn't trust and opened the bathroom door. The taped mirror bulged outward as if something behind it was breathing. A wet paw print pressed into the tape from the inside, then slid down, leaving a smear. Evan's eyes betrayed him. One flick to a tiny uncovered patch near the sink. In that clean square, his reflection wasn't alone. The hound hovered behind his shoulder, too tall, ribs like a cage. Its pale, stretched face wore a careful grin, mouth split too wide, teeth too even. Evan slammed his eyes shut. The bathroom light snapped on by itself. When he looked again, the tape lay flat. The paw print was gone. Normal. The kind of normal that feels staged. "It's learning," Evan said. They backed out and barricaded the bathroom door with a chair. Back in the living room, the blanket over the TV rose and fell once, like something underneath had exhaled. A hard tap came from inside the cloth, knuckle on glass. Mara's voice broke. "What if it steps out?" Evan didn't want to say the number, because saying rules out loud felt like carving them into the world. "It needs enough reflections," he said. "Enough time seen." Outside, a car door slammed. Headlights washed over the sheeted front window, turning it into a glowing rectangle. Someone knocked. "Evan?" Their neighbor Nolan Briggs. "You home?" Evan held the door shut with his shoulder. "Go home, Nolan." A pause. Then Nolan, uneasy. "I can see a dog in your window." Mara's hand flew to her mouth. Evan's blood went cold. Another set of eyes. Another mirror. Nolan laughed nervously. "Weird-looking thing. It moved when I blinked." Evan forced the only sentence that might save him. "Nolan, don't look again. Walk backward to your car. Don't check your mirrors." Silence. Then Nolan's voice shifted. Still Nolan, but closer to Evan's cadence. "Open up. I just want to help." Under it, a second breath, wet and patient, pressed against the night. The porch light clicked off. Nolan screamed once, and the sound cut short, like a hand over his mouth. Evan didn't open the door. Opening meant looking. Looking meant feeding. He stood shaking with his eyes shut until the silence felt older than the house. Morning came grey and cold. The sheets on the windows glowed with weak daylight. Mara wiped her face. "We're leaving." They didn't pack. They stepped outside and moved fast to Evan's car. The car door was glossy, a perfect mirror. Evan kept his eyes on the handle. Mara tried to do the same, breathing in short, panicked bursts. Across the street, Nolan stood on his porch barefoot, staring like he'd been awake all night. His expression was calm and empty. He lifted a hand and pointed, not at Evan's face, but at the car door. Mara's gaze snapped up despite herself. In the curve of the car's paint, The reflection hound stood fully formed on the asphalt, stilt legs planted, ribs like bars, pale human mask face smiling with patient familiarity. Mara's mouth opened. No sound came out. In the reflection, Mara's own double turned its head toward the hound and smiled back. Evan yanked her away from the car, away from the glass. But Nolan didn't stop pointing. His eyes were wide and glassy, fixed on them like he couldn't blink anymore. Evan's stomach dropped as the truth clicked into place. It wasn't the windows or the mirrors the thing needed. It needed to be seen. Nolan was staring at Mara, at Evan, holding their faces in his gaze like a reflection you couldn't cover. And in the curve of the car door, the hound stood steady and real, anchored by Nolan's attention. Evan backed away, shaking. Because you can tape over a mirror, you can't tape over someone's eyes.